All right, how's everybody doing? I want to welcome you to Starving the System, the live internet TV show. I'm your host, Elohim, or as my Rock Hill community and Twitter folks call me, E. This is the show that gives you the information to allow yourself to break free from these systems that want to take your money, lock you up, and make you sick. And the way we do this is we introduce you to professionals who have the kind of information that allows you to do such things, and we build on it. If you were with us the past 3 shows, this is our 4th edition, 4th show. The last 3 shows we did our introductory to law, and basically I introduced our law panel, which was attorney at law Robert Kent Long from the Long Law Group, ex-police officer, Atlanta police officer Jesse Miles, and Martique Franks. That's our legal panel, and we did a brief introduction to each person. And what I want to do now is I want to do the introductory to health. And when I say health, although we're going to talk about physical health today for the most part, I want to focus on, when I say health, holistic wellness, because that's one thing here, especially being in America, that we seem to neglect is a holistic health. So what I want to do, just like the law segments that we had, I want to introduce to you one of the members of our health panel. She is critically acclaimed for her work that she does in the community as far as holistic health, and we're going to talk to her via phone today. So I'd like to welcome our guest, Dr. April J. McAlpine. How you doing today, doctor?
I'm doing just fine, thank you. Thank you for having me.
Well, it's great to have you on the show. Me and you've known each other for a long time, and it's good to be able to come together and do the kind of work that we both want to be able to do in the community. So, real brief, doctor, could you give a brief, a summary, tell the people about what you do and what you're doing and what you're trying to do?
Okay. I'm actually a board-certified holistic health practitioner. I have 20 years of professional work experience in the field of nutrition.
Oh, wow.
18 of those years are as a public health nutritionist, where I have literally listened to, recorded, and counseled thousands of clients on their diet while actually documenting their health. And what came out of that, out of my work experience and my life experience as being an overweight woman myself previously.
Right, because you're not overweight now.
No, I'm not overweight now, thanks to holistic health.
All right.
But because of my work experience and my past personal experience, I had to open up this knowledge to my people.
Right.
Because even though Americans are suffering at an all-time high from all degenerated diseases, within America, minorities are even suffering more. So that is why my practice is geared towards minorities.
Definitely, and I definitely understand that. We have seen we're less knowledgeable about health with ourselves, because I would say one of the reasons that we actually don't have our own diet in place. We actually are following other people, other nationalities' diet, which is detrimental to ourselves. So I'm definitely glad to have you on today. Briefly, what we want to talk about is, when we introduce health to everybody, what we want to talk about is the problems that we're facing, because basically the problems that, as far as I'm seeing, and Doc, I want you to stop me or jump in anytime where, you have something to chime in, or I may be off base a little bit. But the problem is the food that we're eating, where we're eating it, how we're eating it, and how we're preparing it. And that's pretty much, and the fact that we're not doing anything besides just eating a bunch of junk food. I think that if you look at the facts, which I want everybody to know, everything I'm going to be saying, that I'm bringing here today is going to be coming from the Food and Drug Administration. I'm going to have some statistics from the University of Washington, some studies there, some studies from the Psychological from the psychology in Australia, from the Institute of Psychology in Australia. So I don't want you to think I'm just throwing stuff out that, I feel. No, these are things that's been tried, tested, and proven now, and people know. So one of the things we want to talk about is the fact that just last year alone, we spent over $100 billion in fast food. That's America. $100 billion. We spent $725 million just on laxatives. It's just on laxatives itself. So if that tells you anything, just again, last year we've had over 600,000 people die of heart disease. We've had over 562 people die from cancer, 135 from strokes, and 70,000 from diabetes. And Doc, if you agree with me, this is all health related for the most. This is all health and exercise.
Right.
So yeah, what we have to do is basically we're going to have to realize we can't keep continuing to eat like we're eating and not doing anything. And I know one thing I always hear in the street. People say, well, my great granddaddy or my grandmama, my mama ate pork sandwiches and pork legs and fried pork lips and everything, and they lived to be 170 years old. Okay, well, first of all, I would submit to you, and Doc, I want you to, jump in. First of all, I would submit to you that the hog lips that your grandma fried and ate are not the same hog lips that are being produced today. What's one thing? The second thing would be is, I'm sure that your grandparents that did fry those hog lips up, I'm sure that they didn't stay in the house or sit behind a cubicle all day. They were out in the fields or doing whatever, and they were getting direct sunlight. They were sweating. They were exercising. So maybe they did live on an average of, a couple years longer than you. But you can't do the same things. You're not wired the same. You look at those folks back then, you don't do the same things they do. You don't live your life like they do. So comparing your diet to what they did is ridiculous, for one.
Exactly.
Yeah. So I think that's one thing we're going to have to really, really pay attention to. And another thing is we got to be honest with ourselves. We're, as a parent, I'm a parent now of a 5-year-old. And we're the first ones, as a parent, I was the first one to introduce my daughter to sugar. That was me. And that's you. We're the first ones to introduce that to them. We have to be true to ourselves and realize what we're doing to our kids. This is a true story. This happened yesterday. I had to write this down because I couldn't believe it. Where did I write it down at? Okay, I was at the grocery store and this is what I seen in the cart in front of me. This was a black woman. She was in her 20s, maybe 30s, maybe. And she had about a 5 to 6 year old kid with her. She was on the cart, about to fall asleep. She's talking about how tired she was. She just worked 8 hours. This is what was in her cart. I wanted to take a picture, but my battery was too low, so I texted everything she had. She had a gigantic Spider-Man cookie that was for her son because he had it, as soon as he scanned it, he picked that up. Fruit Pops, the regular Fruit Pops, all artificially flavored. No fruit whatsoever in them. The fruit chews, the fruit chewy things that come in animal size, the little fruit snacks, which is no fruit, a bunch of artificial, chemically synthetic foolishness. Oatmeal cakes, those Star Crunch cakes, devil cakes, turkey and pork lunch meat, plain white wheat bread, and a 2-liter Pepsi. Now, doctor, we need medical advice for this woman right now. What, out of the stuff I just named on that list, what had nutritional value? And the only real food I can think of is turkey and pork deli meat. Is that the only? What is the ramifications of her buying this particular food item and taking it home?
To answer your first question, none of that was of any nutritional value.
None of that she had.
Wow. What people fail to realize is that we actually self-inflict disease on ourselves, such as disease that you named earlier, the diabetes, the heart disease, the cancer. These diseases are actually self-inflicted, but they're actually self-inflicted for 3 reasons. And the main reason is out of ignorance. And ignorance just means not knowing. It's not an insult.
Right. We're all ignorant of something.
Right. People just don't realize the foods that we eat are processed and they're not the same. So they think applesauce is the same as an apple, but it's totally different. It's like the difference between night and day.
Whoa.
So when we're ignorantly eating these foods, we're ignorantly self-inflicting diabetes on ourselves. We don't realize that if we drink 1 cup of juice, which is about 8 ounces, that's almost 10 teaspoons of sugar. So if you're drinking 2 and 3 cups of juice a day, even if it's 100% juice, you're possibly getting 10, 20, or 30 teaspoons of sugar just in the juice alone.
Right.
So that's putting unnecessary pressure on your pancreas, and this is why our pancreas end up stop working, and we end up with type 2 diabetes, which is now an epidemic in this country.
Right. And go ahead. I'm sorry.
So that's one part of being ignorant that we just don't have all the puzzles to.
Right.
The pieces to the puzzles. I'm sorry.
And
then people actually self-inflict diseases based on pride. You know, they just don't want to hear anything from certain people, or they feel like you said earlier, my grandmother lived to be at such an age, and you know, I can eat this and eat that.
Right.
But pride is, goes before destruction. And then you have the people that just unbelievers. They just don't believe that what they eat have anything to do with their health. They feel like it's inevitable. Or a grandmother had diabetes, so I'm going to get diabetes. But it's time for change now. You know, ignorance is, we need to just sit down and be retaught as children and be retaught properly. And that's what holistic nutrition is the proper way of eating.
Exactly, and that's what we're going to do. And one thing you just hit on that's important, because I didn't realize how many people really think like that, is that, like you said, applesauce, even though it's maybe made from real, all natural apples, that's not the same as eating an apple.
It's not.
And a good example of that is, I hear people all the time, they tell me, they say, hey man, I'm feeling like this and that and that. And first thing I ask them is, how much water do they drink? And they'll say, oh, well, I drink a lot of Kool-Aid, and, so I get a lot of water. What?
Right.
I drink a lot of lemonade, you know what I mean? So I'm straight. Mm-hmm. If you're not drinking actual water, you're not getting actual water.
Exactly.
And that's just how it is. So you're right. We have to re-educate ourselves on what is going on. One of the things that I noticed that we don't realize either about the food and about being malnutritious, because the truth is, we're unhealthy and we're depriving ourselves and our children of vital nutrients. And as a result of that, we don't realize the physical ailments, but also the mental ailments is important. One thing that I've seen in research is that most African Americans are iron deficient. I found that a lot. And I don't know the actual statistics, but I know that being anemic is one of the number 1 health problems in America.
Right.
And having an iron deficiency and a thiamine deficiency is really high in the minority section. And one of the things I got right here, and this came from the CDC, this is some effects of having iron deficient, or being iron deficient and thiamine deficient. I'm gonna read some of this stuff off. I want you to think about some of the kids that you come in contact with, because I talk with teachers all the time, and this describes most of the kids that they deal with, and even some of the adults, most of the adults. Okay, so iron deficiency. First of all, we know it affects the left brain, which manages logic. So that's also the side of your brain that manages that you need for standardized tests. So think about the connection. Black people don't take standardized tests good. Think about that. So another thing, we see right here that iron deficiency, fatigue, and for as adults, fatigue, physical work is a problem. For your motor skills, mental functions, memory, all these things can be affected. We see right here from a thiamine deficiency, depression, headaches, sleep disturbances, extreme sensitivity, poor impulse controls, anger issues, Does that sound like some of the kids you see? I'm going to read that one more time. Depression, headaches, sleep disturbances, extreme sensitivity, poor impulse control, anger issues. That right there is big, because half of these kids that we see these days, that's what they're acting like. They're acting like they have anger issues. They're acting like they have impulse problems. The adults that I run into are fatigued all the time. Everybody's tired. Everybody has headaches. And what you end up is a trickle-in effect. You have a headache, so you take an aspirin. Okay.
Right.
You never figured out why you got a headache, but you took the aspirin.
Exactly.
Now the aspirin got you constipated. So now you're taking the laxative for being constipated, and you got a trickle-in effect. And what another thing people don't realize, when you take these false food, which is fast food, it's the same as junk food. It's all junk food. When you eat this food, you're gonna feel some energy, because your body, what your body is doing. And I'm getting this from the book, so you make sure I'm saying the right thing.
You're right. You on schedule.
If you can eat anything after you haven't eaten in a while, and it feels like it's giving you energy, but food isn't giving you energy. It's unlocking the energy you already have. Your body is anticipating what you eat to have energy. So what it does is, you got 100% energy. Let's say it gives 25% of energy, it's going to devote to your digestive system. Okay. So what it does is, it takes its time, it uses energy to break down this food, and the food is already broke down because you're eating processed food. So now your body is doing double the work trying to get something out of nothing. And now it needs to borrow energy from another system. So something in your body is going to go without because of what you're putting inside of it that's not real. And that's when you end up with dis-ease. It's as simple as that. My mother, to give you and just to say real quick, next week I'm going to have a 67-year-old young woman in here, and she's going to give you her testimony of how she suffered strokes, high blood pressure, and high blood pressure, high cholesterol, and strictly through diet and exercise was able to reverse all of those symptoms. My mother, and I know for a fact, my mother has been anemic her whole life. As soon as she moved to the country and started her own garden with her own fresh raw vegetables, she went for a checkup, totally reversed. She had to ask the doctor, what happened? The doctor was like, well, I don't know. What did you change in your lifestyle, your eating habits? She said, well, I moved to the country. I did start my own garden. He said, well, that can directly affect your low blood problem. So
that's right.
Even my father, at 50, he was diagnosed with prostate cancer. He had to get surgery. After the prostate cancer, what's the first thing they tell you? You have to change your diet. You have to exercise. We take for granted. Real quick, was it the senator that I think she got shot in the head? Okay, I remember watching Good Morning America the first time when they spoke on her recovery. And the first thing the doctor said is, soon as we were able to, we got her outside so she could get some sunlight.
Right.
That should tell you in itself how important it is. So you see from everybody, there's all types of books you can get, and they're going to say you should eat this way, that way, and this way. But everybody will agree on certain things. We need raw fruits and vegetables, you need exercise, and you need sunlight.
Right.
You can't deny those facts. Anybody will tell you those same things. Okay. Well, Doc,
exactly right.
What we want to do now real quick is we want to go into solutions. We're going to have you here for a minute.
Okay.
For a quick second. Time just flew really fast. But we want to go to solutions. And one thing we know is we're not exercising. Oh, excuse me. I'm sorry. We have a question from the audience. A question for you, doctor. I am 60 plus. I'm a week worker in a cubicle. 60 hour plus. 60 hour a week worker in a cubicle. I tend to eat fast food on a constant basis. Is that for convenience? What are some ways to eat healthy from fast food? Okay. And what are some things I can do to eat healthy at work? Now, I have what I think I know, but since she asked specifically the doctor, I have no credentials. I'm going
Okay.
to have to throw that to you, Doc.
Well, am I talking directly to her, or am I just talking?
Well, yeah, you're just talking in general. She's just asking basically,
Okay.
what can she eat anything
Right.
from fast food to make her healthy? What can she eat at work?
Well, if it's lunch, you can choose a salad and maybe grilled chicken, something grilled.
All right.
But or you can pack your lunch. I work a full-time job in a cubicle all day long too, but I actually take my lunch. I take fruit, I take nuts, seeds, and when you
Pre-packet.
eat real food, you're not as hungry, so it won't require as much.
That's another true statement. Okay, and yeah, definitely. And what you want to do is what you can do there with you at work, you want to pre-make your lunch. If you're one of those people, you don't have a lot of time during the weekend, go ahead and get your portions together. Go ahead and go out and buy those snacks and have your refrigerator already stocked, so you don't have to look, you don't have to go through there and look and thumb, or go to work and hit that vending machine, because that's the number one problem. The vending machine
Exactly.
is not your friend. It is
Right.
not your friend. And they're everywhere. And even in my gym, there's a Good Humor ice cream machine right outside the fitness room. I'm not going to put
Right.
their name out there, but you know that's wrong. You know that's wrong. So, yeah,
Yeah.
that's definitely something we can do. Salads. So you want to talk about what we got to start. We have to start doing something. If you're not,
Right.
if you're not exercising at all, that's not going to work. You have to do something. It's to the person in the cubicle. Why don't you take some of your time and if you got 10 minutes, you can exercise at your desk. One of the most effective exercise, you can do crunches at your desk. Hey, just put your arm up and your leg up and do this right here for 10 minutes. Believe it or not, that does something. Hey, stretch it out. You know what I'm saying? Do something, but do something at your desk. But we have to start exercising. We got to realize we have to eat raw fruits and vegetables as much as possible. That should be, the raw fruits and vegetables should be like 75% of your diet, and the meat should be the 25 versus the other way around. One of the things you can do is stop cooking your meat and your starch and your vegetables. What about meat and 2 vegetables? That can change your diet dramatically just by doing that. Another thing is, when I go to the buffet, man, I'm telling you, this is the worst thing ever. I go to the buffet and I see these parents with their kids, and my mom never let me get fried chicken out. That was, well, I don't know why, but why didn't it? Anyway, okay. So, first thing I see, fried chicken, mashed potatoes, corn, and a dinner roll. Okay, Doc, I'm going to roll to you. What is out of that, what are you getting out of fried chicken, mashed potatoes, corn, and a dinner roll?
Well, first of all, I'm pretty sure that dinner roll is processed flour, so you're not getting anything out of there but an edge on diabetes.
Okay, closer to diabetes.
The corn is probably canned corn with sugar added, so that's the problem with the corn, so you're probably not getting any nutrition out of that. The mashed potatoes are probably processed mashed potatoes, I can't say, or instant mashed potatoes, which is not really real potatoes, because there was nothing wrong with potatoes. It's just how they processed it.
Right.
Same thing with corn. Same thing with bread. It's just the point to it's the fact that they processed everything that's not conducive to health.
Okay.
And then the fried chicken is probably the oil that's 3 or 4 days old that they refried it in. And that's what makes fried chicken bad. Is the oil in which they keep frying it in.
And now let me ask you this: what does potatoes break down to starch, correct?
Correct.
And corn is a starch, correct?
Correct.
So basically, you end up with a meat and 3 starches: the mashed potatoes, the corn, and the dinner roll turns into starch, and then that breaks down to glucose, which is basically sugar, right?
Basically sugar.
And there you have it. So
about 30 teaspoons of sugar, or 40 teaspoons of sugar with a piece of chicken.
okay, wow. Well, okay, we have another question for you, Doc. I am a 35-year-old father of 2. They talking about me? I have a hard time introducing healthy foods to my kids. What are some ways I can get kids to enjoy healthy foods? Okay, now I know this for you, Doc, but I want to answer what I do for my child. Since I do have one, I can answer this one. I don't know the credentials,
Okay.
but check me out. One of the things I do, which is the biggest thing for me, for my daughter, is smoothies. Smoothies. I live by this because, one, it doesn't cost you a whole lot. You can go to the grocery store or the farmer's market or the man with the truck on the corner, and you can get you some fresh fruits, bananas, strawberries, apples, blueberries, blackberries, raspberries, peaches, but whatever you want. I use those, and I make sure I use the apple. The reason is because apple blends good with vegetables to drown out that taste. And I actually snuck it on my daughter the first time. I tried a half a carrot in there. She didn't say anything. She couldn't taste it. I put a whole carrot. I started putting whole handfuls of spinach, kelp, and all of that. And I actually started putting it in smoothies, and she can't taste the difference. So that's one thing I do to her. I do with her. And another thing I do is I role model the food for her. Parents don't realize how important it is to roll. Even if you don't like a certain vegetable, having it on your plate and eating it in front of your child is one of the most powerful things you can do. So that's one of the things. That's two of the things I do, Doc. What are some of the things you think that we should try to do also?
Well, you hit that on the head with that last part. That would be my first suggestion, is to be a role model. You have to set an example, because if you're not truly into your health, it is very hypocritical to try to get a child to eat healthy, and it's not going to fly well with them. So
Right.
You're going to have to get yourself together first. And once you get yourself together first, I mean, it doesn't take a doctor to know that soda is bad for you.
Right.
So you can take some things from your child without doing much of any changing, but actually not giving her the things that's bad for her. But set an example, like you said, Edwin, is just getting the fruit juice, making real fruit juice, investing in a juicer, making real apple juice. But be sure when you make apple juice, whatever amount of juice you get, add water to that, or that's going to be too much on your pancreas or her pancreas.
Oh,
So,
good point. Good point.
Getting fresh juice instead of the processed juice. Set an example yourself and taking away the bad stuff. And that's what I did with my children as well. But I had to get myself together first.
Exactly. Okay, we're running into the end of this right quick. I want to hit you guys real fast with some statistics and some information I got from the University of Washington studies. Okay, 75% of Americans are chronically dehydrated. That's crazy. Okay, in 37% of Americans, thirst mechanism is so weak it's often mistaken for hunger. So half of the time your thirst mechanism is so weak, you eating and you really just dehydrated. Mild dehydration will slow down one's metabolism as much as 3%. So being dehydrated will actually make you gain weight. Okay?
Right.
1 glass of water will shut down midnight hunger pains for almost 100% of dieters. That is big. 1 glass of water will cure most of your hunger pains at night. Okay? Lack of water is the number one trigger of daytime fatigue. How many people get at that 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock hill at work and you about to fall out? Okay? Okay. A mere 2% drop in body water can trigger fuzziness, short-term memory, trouble with basic math, and difficulty focusing on a computer screen or printed pages. That can answer some questions about you at work, about your children. You know, now real quick about soda. You can put a can, and this is true stuff. You don't believe this? You could take a tooth, put it in a can of Coke. Within 24 hours, that tooth will be dissolved, period. No more tooth. Enamel, Coke. I mean, the police, the state troopers use Coke to get blood off of the streets.
Right.
Real quick, this is 30 grams of sugar right here. This is not cocaine, this is sugar. This is 30 grams of sugar right here. A 12 ounce can of Coke has more sugar than this right here. It has about 33 grams. A 16 ounce can of cranberry juice has about 58 grams of sugar in it. You know, That's sweetened cranberry juice. That's about double this right here. Can you imagine putting all that in your mouth? Just stirring this in a thing of water and drinking it like that? I mean, how many sodas do you drink a day? How many fruit juices do you drink a day? That's bad business, man. So look, real quick, get some books for you. Go out and get yourself some research, some things. Go to health foods. Go to some farmers markets. Stop the man on the side of the road. Ask him how he growing his food. You know what I mean? Community gardens, real quick. Community gardens. You can have your own community garden. Go to communitygarden.org. They'll show you everything for forming your own gardens, getting a committee, starting it up. If you don't know anything about it, they'll start you up from the ground floor up. I want to thank our doctor, April McAlpine, for being on the show with us. She'll be with us throughout this whole journey.
You're welcome.
I wanted to introduce her first to this health panel because she's done extensive research. She has a book coming out. What's the name of your? You have a book that's already out. What's the name of your book, Doc?
Yes. It's called The Correlation. Since you mentioned anemia, which is very good, that sets the stage for what my book is about. It's entitled The Correlation of Anemia in Pregnancy and Mental Illness.
Whoa. Can you say that one more time?
The Correlation of Anemia in Pregnancy and Mental Illness.
Woo. And go to her website. You can you can Google her, Dr. April J. McAlpine. Check out some of the things she's been doing. She actually wrote her dissertation on being able to reverse mental and physical illnesses through nutrition. So that's big. You know what I mean? That is big. So we're honored, and it's a great pleasure to have her with us to be able to answer these questions and to be able to give us this insight. It's going to really, right now we're just talking about the physical aspect, but we're going to get into the holistic aspect. So I want to thank everybody for being with us today. We actually ran way longer than we were supposed to, but I appreciate everybody for hanging in with us. Catch us next Thursday, 7 o'clock, Starvingthesystem.com. I appreciate you. Hey, come together like butt cheeks and be the what? Y'all be safe, man. We out of here.
All right. Thank you.
All right. Thank you.